Hello and welcome to episode 31 of And No. Today's podcast is a special one. I hope that they're all special, but today is going to focus on a milestone my husband and I reached this week. We have now been married for 25 years. We dated for 5 years, making our grand total together 30 years. But actually, we also went to nursery school together, so we've known each other for well over 40 years. I always thought he was a cutie. He thought I talked a lot. He wasn't and isn't wrong, but we still make it work. The day of our wedding was the hottest day in all of Canada, and the mosquitoes seemed to multiply before our very eyes as the day went on. But it was a fantastic day. But it also seems like a lifetime ago because I feel like we've lived a lifetime already in the past 25 years, and Lord willing, we have a lot of time still left together. When you think of couples that surround you today, what are the traits that you see in those relationships that seem to make their relationship work well? What are the traits that you see that aren't working well? And if you think that this podcast is, it's just for those in love, I'd like to offer this. Any relationship, whether in marriage or friendship, has a common posture that changes connection from staying at a surface level to moving into something that's far deeper with a much greater meaning. So, what's that posture? Well, I think that this verse in Ephesians says it best. Ephesians 4, verse 2. Be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing with one another in love. In a society that is terribly me-focused, this verse seems almost out of date or old-fashioned. Too often we are told that what makes me happy has to be the priority in all relationships. And I am here to share with you that the posture of me first is probably the most dangerous position to have in any relationship. Hear me though. This does not mean that you are supposed to be a doormat, or as we say in German, a Waschlappen, which loosely translated means a washcloth. Your needs do matter. How you feel is truly important. But if we continue to focus on just the me in your romantic and platonic relationships, they will never take root. Because if both of you are focusing on your own individual wants, you'll never discover the joy of shared wants. Now, big disclaimer, I am no relationship expert. I can only share with you the journey that I have been on in my marriage and what's worked and what hasn't worked. So let's take apart Ephesians 4, verse 2 just a bit and see how this verse can help each of us out. It starts off with this: be completely humble. I find it a little humorous that the Apostle Paul doesn't just say humble, but says completely humble. Like, you can't be kind of humble. To be humble, really humble, means you're totally humble. Now, what comes to mind here? Sometimes when we hear this word, the words meek, weak, insignificant, or even belittled can come to mind. This case, though, humble has a really profound meaning. Paul is saying here that we should be putting the well-being of others above our own, and more importantly, that we should be dependent on God, not ourselves. Now, being humble takes an enormous amount of effort because you're shifting from a what do I get to what can I offer posture. And most importantly, you're recognizing that when we are completely humble, it means that you also fully understand that you're not the anchor in your relationship. God is. Paul goes further and says to be completely humble and gentle. Have you ever met someone that's like a fake modest, like it's just for show? That's the worst. When we are completely humble and gentle, it means that anything done is being done selflessly and not to gain recognition. If I only do things in my marriage that I want credit for, I am going to be miserable. But if my posture is both being humble and gentle, then my actions are truly being done for the right reason. And if my husband is doing the same, then we are able to give selflessly and receive beautifully. The next part of the verse says, be patient. Ugh. This is so this is so annoyingly hard for me because I am by nature a very impatient person, and it shows. Eye rolls, not so silent sighs. I'm impatient. I mean, at least I know I am, but that doesn't change the fact that it is something that I know I need to work on. But here's the fun fact. I get annoyed at people who aren't patient. And so I need to figure that out as well. But when people aren't patient with me, it hurts my feelings. So I know that being patient with others, especially those who I love a lot, is really important. Now, here's some insight with being impatient, and here's how I see it. When you are impatient with me, you're saying that I'm not worth your time, that giving me something extra is just too much to ask for. Other than the words, I love you, the most profound words that I can hear are, I'm here for you. So Paul's got this one nailed down perfectly. We have to show patience with those we want a meaningful relationship with. Paul ends Ephesians 4 with verse 2 with bearing with one another in love. This is almost a continuation of having patience. What Paul is saying here is, hey, when someone is making a mistake, hang on and give them grace. Keep showing them love even when it's not easy. Fun fact, you're going to be annoying in your marriage and you're going to disappoint and you're going to be annoyed and you're going to be disappointed because no marriage is perfect, not one. But when your action and your reactions, when you are disappointed, what you do or say when you're hurt or frustrated, Paul is saying such an important truth here. Bear with one another in love. And know this, it is impossible to do any of this on our own. And I know because I have tried. I love my husband, and I know he loves me. But one thing that we have both discovered repeatedly over the last 25 years is that we love each other best when we are first loving God. Because God is the only one who can give me patience and understanding. And as previously admitted, I don't come by that easily. God is the one who keeps me grounded. God is the one who reminds me that I am in need of grace each and every day. And who am I to withhold that from someone that I love? When we said our vows, it was to each other, but we also said them to God. And that holds a lot of weight. Thank goodness I'm not carrying that weight alone. I thank God for my husband. I thank God for the grace that he's shown me so that I can be, well, I can try to be completely humble and gentle, patient, bearing with one another in love. I hope today's podcast was a blessing to you. We'll see you next week.